That's where the went to your work phone. Do you have your work phone?
No.
It's a code.
I don't
I'm
have
not
that.
bashful.
No.
My folder. Got notes in there about chairman.
I know who that guy is. Who's that guy?
Why am I there? We got it. Well, we have to.
Take your arms off.
Where do you think?
Can you have a cushy seat?
Oh, no.
There's more cushion over.
Are you guys, where are you guys going to sit?
Where you
This
guys
time.
are,
Up there.
Oh,
taking over.
Should it? Should I
Thank
just?
you.
put
One of us will be on the.
There should be three,
You're
there's
wearing
three of
a
us.
corn
Okay.
blue tie just for this kid.
I don't know how that's.
We gotta
gonna-
get all three of them on.
I don't know how we're gonna do that with the monitors in the way.
Yeah.
Can the
Yeah, we
monitors
do
just
not
be
wanna
set
move
on the
them.
floor?
Huh?
Can the monitors just be hooked on the floor?
Oh, the monitors can, but,
Oh, the users can.
yeah.
I wouldn't move them.
Do you wanna, should I move this again?
Hey, Cheryl,
The way it
can you
was?
go sit in that chair and see if you're on the camera?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All three of us. are on the
Oh.
camera.
Will it work? We can move the monitors.
I
Is
don't
my thing
know.
heading away?
They're so
You
tight.
just slide them.
This one won't.
Yeah, it's just so tight.
Jim's tall. We can get him a cushion too.
Well, he can move over.
He can move over there too.
That's the line. Right?
He's alive, yeah, make sure. Oh, no, no. You look fine. Since this is not, since this is not an official court proceeding, I'm gonna have a drink out here. You guys want any water or anything?
No.
You have water?
I'll get you some.
You have it in your office though?
Well, I'll get it from the jury room.
Oh,
I'll get it for you. You want some
sure,
water?
we'll take.
Oh, no, thank you.
Can I see you there? Where is the camera? You know where the camera is?
Actually, it's right there.
Oh, no wonder. Got all of
And
it.
it's a little delayed if you're trying to watch the screen.
Oh, I was trying to. Not be, have my head in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Folks, we are live right now.
We got a good amount of time now to get ramped up for next year. Plus $1 so that's.
All that traffic.
That's all right. I hope it's cold enough.
Whenever do I
If
have a
not-
judge wait on?
Hey, see? You never know.
Who certainly doesn't wait on me.
And you're gonna give all this up?
Yep.
Sorry, folks, for the delay. Obviously, those of you that were in the courtroom know what happened there with the Raymond on a personal protection order. Some of you standing can have a seat. That's why I kind of thought we'd all sit up here, and there's seats here too. There's two more. Mr. Tarrant, Mr. Heffron, if you want to sit down. No? Okay, good seeing all of you. My goodness. This is, and I will call the meeting to order. This is a purpose for appointment of the interim sheriff, who's set to retire on September 8th of this year. And it would be for a partial term ending 12/31/2024. There is, and the record should reflect that all three members are present. And we'll open it up for public comment. Mr. Heffron must have moved our.
I did.
Oh, you did? No, that's all right. That's okay. He has a thing about our podium, so from past experience, but that's all right. Well, I just wondered, it might be more convenient and comfortable for people that want to make public comment. No offense, Cheryl, but
I was gonna move the chairs.
for those of you that don't know, Mr. Heffron actually arranged the construction of that piece of equipment. Let me just say this too before public comment, and I know we're on YouTube as well, which technology is so fantastic because I did receive an email from a resident who obviously wanted to make a comment about one of the candidates, but also put on there that she was so fortunate to see it on YouTube that she was able to watch it. And that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to make it as available as possible. And in fact, I don't believe the interviews have been deleted yet. I told my staff not to delete them from YouTube. So if anybody watching right now wants to go back and listen to the interviews as we heard them, you can do that. And I think that might be beneficial. Okay, public comment. And 3 minutes, please, folks, if you could limit it to that.
Hi.
Just come on up and,
We'll hear if that's right.
okay, as long as we can hear you. And
Park, Kearney Township resident. I did listen to the interviews. And there was some talk of keeping the status quo until the election, keeping the undersheriff shifting into the position of sheriff. My thought is I'm endorsing Matt Mullador, who's well qualified. I think that would give the people in November of 2024 a comparison to see different philosophies of leadership. That's all I have to say. I'm endorsing Matt Mullador.
okay, all right, thank you. Anybody else want to make a public comment today? Yes, sir.
I'm Alex Bushman from Banks Township Supervisor. I'm here. Give me a second. I'm here today to put my support behind Matt Mullador for Sheriff for Antrim County. I've been acquainted with Matt for decades, and he's shown himself to be a fantastic member of our community and also an extremely effective member of the Otsego County Sheriff's Department. I believe he'll make a fine sheriff, and Antrim County would be lucky to have him. I have heard things about the Sheriff's Department, including difficulty in filling positions. And I've also felt the result of not having adequate sheriff presence in the northern parts of our county. This spring, I requested a deputy's assistance in a civil matter that I was to deal with, according to a judge, a zoning issue. But long story short, I called and dispatch said they were sending a guy out, and I waited an hour at this person's driveway looking for some support. And an hour later, they call me and tell me that they're not coming. In fairness, Sheriff Bean did explain the situation to me after the fact. But when you're sitting there for an hour in a potentially hostile citizen's driveway, you're a little concerned. And to not get a call or have anybody even in the northern half of our county was pretty concerning. I do live on C-48, and I go long periods of time without seeing a deputy go by on Atwood Road, which is pretty heavily traveled. And I think that just comes down to not having enough people on the road, and I get that. But you know, Antrim County is short on people, and Otsego County seems to have people lining up to work over there, from what I understand. So something to think about. I do find that in the times that I've worked with Under Sheriff Hope, he seems to be a fine guy, and I'd be happy to work with him. But my understanding is the resumes of these two fine candidates are quite different, to Mr. Mullador's advantage. I believe this is a good opportunity to inject some new blood and some new thought processes into the Antrim County Sheriff's Department. And for those reasons, I am wholeheartedly supporting Matt Mullador as the next Antrim County Sheriff.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
I'm Marv Rubin.
The reason we moved the microphone down there is because you didn't get picked up on the.
I didn't?
No, see, and that's why I had the podium there, is so that anybody watching on YouTube could hear what you said. But I think Mr. Rubin will pick you up, and we just moved it there. Go ahead.
All right, thank you. I was here previously listening to the interviews, and there were some distinct differences in the interviews. One of the questions the three of you asked the candidates was what they would do if they had a friend in their office, or know a friend in the sheriff's department, and had an office that needed someone for that position. Would they choose their friend, or would they choose someone that better fit the office and the needs of that office? And all three of the candidates answered the question that they would choose the one that was more fit to the office. And one candidate, Mr. Mullador, had already experienced that. He said he had to do that. He had to choose someone that was not his friend to fill the qualifications of the office. Now, we as residents of Antrim County are asking you that question. You have the question before you. Are you going to fill this position with a friend, or possibly a friend, or are you going to fill it with a person that's the best candidate? And it is pretty clear from the interviews that Mr. Mullador is the best candidate, and ask you to look to the citizens of Antrim County and choose him as our intermediate sheriff.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else want to address the court? Or address? See, I knew we should have held it at your office, but you don't have an office. So.
That is true.
Hi,
Hi.
my name is Carla Bard. I'm also a resident of Bel Air, and I did not see the interviews. However, I have read the resumes of Matt Mullador, and I think that it's time that we have a new person, a person that is highly qualified, that has experience, and his resume speaks loudly. And I'm here because I too support Matt Mullador to take the position of the sheriff. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. Meeting minutes. I think you have May 10th and July 10th minutes. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes?
No.
Any motion to accept?
I'd move to accept the minutes from May 10th, 2023, as well as July 10th of 2023.
All right, I'll second that. There's been a motion and a second to accept the minutes. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say aye. Hearing none, the minutes are passed. Shall we have any discussion regarding any motions?
I'll lead off with it. I believe all three candidates, they all have their strengths, they all have their weaknesses. I don't think the dedication of any of them can be questioned. Each one of them has been a law enforcement officer for over 20 years. They have very distinctly different backgrounds and qualifications. So that being said, I think they are all, like I said, dedicated to their chosen profession.
Okay. Cheryl, do you want to add anything?
I
Madam
think that
Clerk.
pretty much sums it up. All three have either are currently working for Antrim County or have worked in Antrim County. One of the questions I wish we would have presented to our candidates is, what would make you a better sheriff than the next guy sitting next to you? But we didn't ask that question. So, they're all highly qualified, and any of them, of the three, would do well for Antrim County.
Well, I think there's no question that all three are qualified candidates. Two reside and are employed here with the Antrim County Sheriff's Department. One resides here in Antrim County, however, is employed by a neighboring Sheriff's Department over in Otsego County. And what's significant to me, folks, and I know there's a large portion, and I should say a large portion. We have 24,000 people here in Antrim County. In the summer, I think it goes up closer to 100,000. And so it isn't just one township that should be granted the ability to dictate who becomes sheriff. We have to look at all the townships, all the citizens, and all the visitors too. I mean, folks, if we didn't have the lakefront property that we have, we wouldn't have the people up here spending money, and they expect services too. What I look at when I made appointments on an interim basis to a sheriff's position, I look at a variety of things. Obviously, you look at qualifications, and as I indicated earlier, I think all three are very well qualified to be an interim sheriff. But I look at connection to Antrim County, because we're talking Antrim County. We aren't talking any other county. And not just residing here, but a knowledge of our county, knowledge of the Sheriff's Department, and what our needs and concerns are. And the length of time that someone has been here in Antrim County. And I think the connection to the townships, the connection to the county board is of significance. Someone who has attended township meetings, knows what is happening in the respective townships, brings the townships up to date on activities. That's all significant. And while that may be a disadvantage for someone that does not work in the county, you can still become aware of what is occurring in the county, especially if you seek an appointment to something as significant as a sheriff. But there's current issues facing our jail that will need to be addressed in a very short period of time. There's concerns with personnel, and it isn't just, I don't know, maybe I was born and raised over in Otsego County. Now, I don't know, maybe they got all kinds of money. I know they don't have as much money as Antrim County. You didn't want to hear me say that, Chairman. But I know they don't have as much money as Antrim County. And it isn't just a question of money. Everybody is hurting for staff. I don't care what kind of business you're in, what kind of service you're in, trying to look at Meadowbrook. Anybody is having a difficult time hiring people now. And it isn't just wages, it isn't just working conditions, but there are certain issues that are facing the Sheriff's Department that those currently in the Sheriff's Department are well aware. And you just can't help that. They're aware of what's happening there and what needs to be addressed and what doesn't perhaps need to be addressed. Speaking for the courts, and speaking for this court in particular, I won't speak for the district or circuit, but I have never in 32 years had a concern with Sheriff Bean or his staff in providing security for this court. And we've had some tremendous individuals in here, I shouldn't say tremendous, obnoxious individuals that wanted to attack me, wanted to attack the attorneys and witnesses. And I have never in 32 years had a concern with security in this courtroom. And that's a real tribute to Sheriff Bean and his staff. And I mean, previous sheriffs too. Sorry, you haven't been there 32 years, this sheriff, but the previous sheriffs too. It's just incredible, tremendous. They check our alarm system as frequently as I can imagine, but I've never had a circumstance where I felt really my safety was in peril, even though we've had some difficult cases with child custody and abuse, neglect. You know, I believe it's important to appoint someone who's aware of our current concerns regarding safety and law enforcement and will enforce the laws as adopted by the legislature. There's one thing that came up during the course of these interviews that really causes me concern. I've been in public service over 40 years. I have never seen a society, I've never seen our society as divided as it is. The three of us up here received threats that I thought I would never, ever be subject to. I've received threats from people that I prosecuted years ago, and hey, get in line. But I mean, never have I seen the language and the concern of people that are just either far right or far left. There's no other way to put it. And I'll tell you, when I heard constitutional sheriff, you all had better listen to that. You all had better listen to that. There's a bunch of cases coming out right now the last couple of days from people that believed in that, and they're now facing federal charges. Now, I'm not saying that the only place I've heard that term, a constitutional sheriff, constitutional prosecutor, constitutional judge, is by those who wish to dictate how the laws to be applied to our citizens. And laws are to be applied evenly, impartially, without regard to whom you are. And that's a real concern I had that came up during this interview. I'm up next year. I'm done. You know, I mean, I get kicked out because I'm too old. But I just have a real concern, folks, and I think all of you should too. But I think also a recommendation from the man who has worked with all three of our applicants, all three, is most significant. And that's Sheriff Bean. And who did he recommend for this position? To me, that is the most important. It truly is. Unless you have a department that's just off the wall doing things and maybe a change needs to be made, okay, but that's not the case here. It is not the case here. From someone who has worked for the Sheriff's Department for 40 years, I can tell you right now, you have one of the best Sheriff's Departments in the state. And to continue that is of utmost importance. To continue that with a recommendation from the current sheriff, to me, is just it. I firmly believe in hiring within. I firmly believe in promoting from within, because you better hire the right people, right? I have nothing but support for Sheriff Bean, and I believe that he has recommended the correct applicant. Nothing against any of the other ones. I mean, they're great. I mean, I wish when I was over in Otsego, I had to appoint a sheriff that I'd had 3 candidates like this, but we didn't. So, is there a motion?
I would make a motion to appoint Matt Mullador as the interim sheriff to fill out the partial term.
Is there a second? Hearing none. Is there another motion?
I would make the motion to appoint Kevin Hoke as the interim sheriff through December 31st of 2024.
Is there a second? I'll second that. Roll call vote, please.
Rossiter,
Opposed.
Hayes,
Yes.
Guy. Yes.
Kevin Hoke is declared the Antrim County Sheriff. And you want to take the oath now?
I would rather that we do that in December
At the end. yeah.
because all of the officers will have to come in and redo their oath under the interim sheriff.
That motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
Hey, you're all in favor. We're done. Thank you very much.
I know. I'm with my guy.
I like my tax a week
No, sir.
I've been meaning to.
Oh, yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah,